reached the time for our very first keynote of the day, where we're going to be passing the mic over to absolute industry superstars, Catharina Bohler and Elin Festoy. For those of you who are not aware of their work, Catharina is the CEO and co-founder of indie games company Sarepta Studio. Meanwhile, Elin is a creative producer at her company Teknopilot. Together, they helped to create the internationally renowned title, My Child Lebensborn. My Child Lebensborn is a BAFTA award-winning mobile game with millions of players worldwide. In-game, you make choices in a complex story, exploring bullying and child abuse, but also empathy, compassion, and open-heartedness. It's an outstanding project and an incredible story. Here to tell you quite a bit more about theirs, please welcome to the stage, Catharina and Elin.
Woohoo! Thank you very much. We have to live up to this, Catharina. Are you ready? Oh, we'll see. We're never ready. We just make the most out of everything. Let's see. I think that's good. Yeah. So that's the title of our talk. And the reason we chose that title is on the next slide. You can click, Catharina. Let that sink in first. Let it sink in. It talks of the struggle, you know, the true struggle. But we thought that we should start off by just mentioning some things that we were told when we went to game conferences and talked about our project. Because, Catharina, you can't make a premium mobile game. It's a wrong method, payment method.
In a documentary game, it could never be any good.
No. You can't make a mid-core game for a casual platform. Are you crazy?
And you can definitely never reach teenagers.
No. And no one wants to play a sad game. That's a given.
And who cares about Norwegian history anyway?
So, we've already had quite an introduction. We don't need to say much more, except that we come from different worlds. I'm an ex-journalist and a creative producer trying to tell true stories in an interactive and interesting way.
And I'm CEO and game designer of a game development studio that started up 9 years ago.
So together we've done this 3-year experiment, really, trying to create what we didn't know if we would be able to create this game. An unlikely game, if you like. So our first takeaway, because we have 7 of them, is don't let anybody tell you that you can't. That's what we heard. We didn't listen to them. But that's maybe just as well, because we're so happy to have been invited here to Women in Games. And why? Because we actually won a BAFTA. So I guess they went right. Thank you. And we are approaching 250,000 sold copies of the game. We have several million playing, according to our servers. And the big question, I guess, is how is this possible?
I think the key factor of our success lies in our shared dedication. The fact that we both felt like this was a game that needed to happen, a game that needed to be made. And we had shared goals. And that takes us over to takeaway 2. Make sure to define your goals early on and use them throughout the development. It was our shared goals and the fact that we, after some time and back and forth, managed to decide on just a few goals instead of a million. And then we used that throughout the development so that we can make sure that we were making the same game. So our goals help us to stay on the right track. And help us through many heated discussions and times of turmoil.
And where these goals come from? Well, we both met and really felt that we needed to tell what for us is an important story. How the children born of enemy soldiers are punished for their genes after a war is over. In Norway, after World War II, there were 12,000 children born of German soldiers. Most of them were also Lebensborn children, registered in the Nazis' Lebensborn archive for Aryan children. And a special thanks to Torleif Blatt, the head of the Lebensborn Association, who's helped us through the whole game with making sure that we told the story correctly. And sadly, he passed away this summer, but we're very, very happy that he got to see the completion of the game. So one thing was to tell this story, because these children are born after every conflict, and very few know about these children. They are silenced and shamed in their local communities, and they do not attract the big headlines. And at the same time, we wanted to make a game. We wanted to reach a younger audience, and we wanted to use interactive storytelling to create an experience where you could experience yourself what it means to be bullied and rejected.
The result was My Child Lebensborn. It's a documentary parent simulation game telling the stories of the Lebensborn children. It tells the stories of Klaus and Karin, born of a Norwegian mother and a German soldier during the Second World War. The game is based on true events, documents, and people. We wanted to create a game that was representative, that could give visibility, and that could make you care. At the same time, it did need to be a rewarding game experience. Somehow, we would be able to create interesting gameplay from quite challenging topics. And that was a challenge. There were too many challenges to really talk about, but the main ones was, for instance, that in this game, we can't really give the power to the player of changing what happens. So then, oh, well, what's the point? Why am I supposed to play? Why can't I change anything? But it was usually in games, right, you have all these options and they affect what's going to happen. But if we were to do that in this game, it would be like telling the victims that this was somehow their fault. Oh, if you just done something differently, then you would have had a happy outcome. There is no happy fairy tale ending. And that was ultimately the really big challenge of this game. Of course, events in the game also had to be based on true stories, and these are quite sad and at times horrible. Would it be even possible to turn this into an engaging game that you would actually want to pick up? At the end also, the game would have to be representative for the whole group of the Lebensborn children. We couldn't just focus on one individual. It would have to be something that the whole group would be able to feel at home in, and they would feel represented. So all of these things were things that our team had to tackle throughout the development.
So that's takeaway number 3. Don't let not knowing how to do something stop you. Because we didn't know how to do this. We had to figure it out, and that's fine. That's the development process, is figuring it out. So it took us years, and we found the answers one by one through long discussions. Yes?
Some arguments. But
Heated arguments. I mean, she's so unreasonable sometimes. I don't understand it.
I don't know what you're talking
No. I know.
During pre-production, luckily there was a big piece that started falling into place. And that's really connected to what turned out to be our logo. It's about caring. And this started becoming more and more important part of the development. Because what we really needed in such a dark story was an element of hope. We needed to be able to give the player some power, and we saw that if we could give them a positive role, then that would be able to give them at least something to work from. And the Lebensborn children all told us of how there were some few people that were good to them and how important that was. So we wanted to put the player in that position. So in the game, the player takes the role as the child's adoptive parent. You get to care for the child, make sure that they get through their everyday, even though things are difficult. This is the scene, the way that you see things in the game. You talk to the child, you have some different rooms that you can go to where you could try to make sure that the needs of the child is met. Of course, physical needs, but also, after a while, emotional needs.
And obviously, it's a challenge because the story is so dark. But we had to do justice to the Lebensborn children's stories. We couldn't show everything because some of it is too dark, but we had to do it in full. We couldn't be holding back because that would be to not respect their history, really. So, but these limitations turned out to be quite inspiring. We couldn't exaggerate. We couldn't sort of have quick solutions to things. One example is that the choice of playing the parent is that the parent can't see everything. If the parent had seen the child being bullied in school, it would have intervened. That wouldn't be possible. So the child has to handle society on its own, coming back and telling about the events. But that's a new challenge, because how can you create an engaging gaming experience when you can't see what's happening? Catharina, how do we do that?
Well, we started wondering about that ourselves. We really found that, since this is ultimately the child's journey, the child would have to be in the center. It's the child that actually goes through all these things when you're not there, and it's the child that has the most to tell. We started finding new ways of making sure that the child could feel alive. We created an emotional system for the child so that whenever something happens, you don't necessarily see their mood and their feelings in some kind of status bar. Instead, you have to read the face of the child. You have to listen to their words. And you have to get to know the child, because one day they might be speaking in a specific way, and another day they'll be speaking in a different way because something has happened. And so a lot of the gameplay is just in getting to know the child and understanding when something has happened and trying to figure out, okay, what has happened, what can I do? Also, going through the development, we found new ways of making the child's world more vivid for the player, because there's a lot of stuff that the child is holding back, holding in. You're their parent, they love you, they're not going to want to share everything with you. I'm sure that you as children kept things from your parents just because you felt like you didn't want to hurt them or make their lives more difficult. But we found that children have a tendency of expressing their emotions through drawings. So this actually turned out to be a very important part of making sure that the player stays in tune with what's happening. Throughout the game, you'll be finding a lot of different drawings. They could be happy, they could be sad. They give you insight into the inspiration of the child, their emotions, their feelings, their fears. And you might also learn, not necessarily through his fears and what he's saying, but maybe through his drawings, what is actually happening between that screen. And this thought process was also evident in our development when it came to the other people in this world. Because we found that drawing other people in a normal way wouldn't really work. We wanted to try and express the dread that the child feels going into the world. So we decided that all the characters that are there are kind of scratched over, as if the child has taken their black marker and just removed what they feel is scary and uncomfortable. So you never see these people that are mean to you. The only other person in the game that you get to see is the one teacher that actually cares. So Hadbari is the person, just like you, has a role of taking care of the child in action. Sticking to your core is important. As game developers, we all know this. We all hear about this core, this mystical thing. And there are many elements in the game that you might not have planned, and you have no idea where the heck you're going with this. But making sure that you follow your core, it's a guiding light when things get dark. So when we were going through the development, it was very, very important to make sure that we could keep going with this and make sure that we don't move away from what the goal is. So our goal was to tell their story. Our premise was that the role of the parent, and our restriction was that it absolutely had to be historically correct.
I allowed you one thing though.
Yeah. She removed the bathing duck.
No duck in 1951. No duck. No.
I was so sad. But we were allowed to keep the only thing in the game that's not correct is you have a little sponge that you use to wash. And I managed to trump through going, no, gameplay.
Yeah.
They need to be able to understand and so.
Only the one though. Yes.
The one thing. But taking inspiration from the research that we were doing, making sure that the research was based on this core, we read stories about adopted children. We read about what it was like living in Norway in the 50s. Reading about parenting styles, about how children communicate. It was all important things to give us inspiration that could all move us in the right direction of our core. One of the elements connected to the core of the game, which was a bit of a challenge, and we were doubting ourselves a lot of the way, but I'm very glad we stuck to it, is mundanity. Because in this game, you're a parent in the 50s in Norway. You don't have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of acceptance from society. And you want to be a parent. But each day, you get up, you wash the child, you feed the child, you go to work, you come home, maybe you chat a little bit, you make dinner, maybe you do some homework. You get the child ready for bed, and maybe you read a little goodnight story. In and out. This is your everyday routine. So you go through from day to day in the game, going through this seemingly mundane routine. But as things get difficult in the game, really, really difficult, this is the thing that we see that the parent actually starts enjoying. Like, this is what the player is waiting for, not all the action and interesting stuff happening, because that's going to be hard. But you get the relief in finally being able to care for the child and making sure that they're doing good. So there's no wide variety of clothing or trips that you can go on. It's just taking care of the child. Being able to finally cook them a nice meal, or mending their clothing so that they don't have to go with holes in their clothes to school. Looking forward to Sunday when you can finally go fishing by the lake. Or spending your evenings knitting a little fox plushie that you're waiting for Christmas that you can give it to them. All these happy, tiny memories is what's important. So making repetition and mundanity part of the game felt risky, but it was an important part of telling the story, and we are getting that feedback. It's important to stick to your core, because, for instance, here, sure, it might feel risky because, oh, well, there's not that much to do in the game, it's going to be very repetitive, but if we try to do it differently, it wouldn't be the right story, because you as a parent, you're not a superhero. Maybe you don't have all the money in the world, and you can't actually change what happens to the child. All you can do is be a force for good.
I hope this gives you a bit of an impression of how this sort of has been a search for solutions to match the story, and that's why we're putting takeaway number 5. It's get help. You don't have to know everything yourself. It's to understanding what you need of input and knowledge and competence, and then be able to get that into the project. As it developed, for instance, we saw that the dialogue with the child would be increasingly important. So we had many different writers in helping us on dialogue until we felt that it worked. But sort of netting it a bit, seeing we need something else, trying different people, it's a process. We did the same when it comes to composers and the music, and also on sound design. So that's a tip, is to pull in other resources. It's a real value to the team as well.
And it's also a good thing to pull in people from outside of industry. For instance, we hit a part in the game development where I wasn't really sure if we're going to be able to make it, because towards the end of the game, dark things happen. It gets really, really tough and dark, and we just didn't have the capability to deal with that. How do you take this horrid of a topic and somehow put this into the game? It didn't feel right that we were the ones making it. Luckily, we were able to get in someone called Elin. She's a specialist in the topic of uncovering child abuse. And she shared with us her personal stories of what she has experienced as a child being abused. And even though it's such a taboo and difficult topic, we knew we had to put it in because part of our core was making sure we told the whole story no matter what. But without her, we really wouldn't have been able to deal with this topic because it was just too much. We had to keep calling it the unspeakable because it is unspeakable.
A bit of a rough switch between those two files, but couldn't be helped. I guess this is, in a way, another takeaway is to do the best you can at every moment. Because looking back at the project, it might look as if, oh, wow, this went so well and we had all the answers. But we really didn't. And when I sum up also what we did on marketing and communication, looking back, it looks as if we had a very strong, solid strategy, worked really hard, everything was very planned, and it wasn't. Because we had to do this on the side, in parallel with development, and we managed to get some resources for translations and some trips. We haven't hardly any for advertising. We've sort of been trying to get funds for the project the whole way. Luckily, Norwegian cultural funds for games exist, so that's what rescued us. But we did a successful Kickstarter. We had some fantastic press. We won the BAFTA, other awards. But it wasn't that structured, so that I hope that's encouraging for you. That our tip is to really look for opportunities. We would regularly sit down and think, oh Jesus, we have to do something on marketing and community building. What are the opportunities here? Okay, 3 or 4. Let's try those. Oh, 1 turned out to be successful. Okay, finished. What are the next opportunities? We'll look for them. And that's the way we worked, and we never felt prepared going to a conference. We've never done all the bookings, but it was always useful. Sort of, what do we need now? What resources can we get from this conference? And then start running around and trying to find interesting people to talk to. So, yes. That's the takeaway number 6. Is also that although it's not optimal, it might still be okay. Because this was okay. It worked. We're here. Yay. So it's again thinking that things won't be perfect. I think anyone saying that might be lying. Not in our world anyway. And of course, we might have sold more. We probably would have sold more if we had more marketing resources. We might have had more press. We are over the moon with our results because of our goals. It's dangerous to listen to the others because they might have other parameters for success, like all the naysayers in the thought. So in a way, they're right. It's a bad idea to create a premium title on mobile. At least it was 2 years ago. You won't get a publisher. So if you need a publisher, you need another model. They were right in so many things. But still, we reached our audience. So we wanted to make a meaningful game and to connect with people. And we thought that if we can create something that the players actually like, then the rest might come later. Then that would be our what made us successful and also would lead to maybe a financial success. And the next one is?
Of course, as you develop, there are many people saying that a game will never be finished, it will just be shipped. And might be some amazing people out there who don't get to this, but really, you will most likely never feel finished. You'll just have to stop working at it. There's so many things that we wanted to do with the game, so many things that when I look at it, I go, oh no, I hope people don't notice that, or oh, I don't like this, but it didn't matter, right? Nothing can be perfect, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. So finding acceptance for this is important for your health, for your sanity.
Your funding.
Your funding, yeah.
That was sort of, okay, that was back there and we're still going. What's wrong with this picture? Yeah.
It's like, money, maybe we should, yeah. So when we finally had to launch the game, we had no idea of whether we actually had been able to do what we wanted to. And for a few days, I was actually convinced that I had failed as a designer. Of course, you know, I was engulfed in the dreaded post-launch depression. It's a thing.
Yes.
Be aware. Deal with it. Have ice cream. Because after years of development, you get kind of blind, right? You don't know what you have in front of you, and you're just going to have to trust people around you. You're blind and you're exhausted.
And you push that launch button, and then you know that now I should really run and do marketing, and you're exhausted. That's normal. So that's. But then we launched. We pushed the button, and then this happened. And relief and joy. I still get goosebumps. It's because we launched on the May 8th, Victory Day, which was the day when trouble started for the children of German soldiers. And then the gamers gave us the answer that this was more than playable. It was enjoyable. It was a rewarding gaming experience. And this was, I hardly have words how fantastic it was to get this feedback. Because it worked. The game was playable. And then we had our next goal, which was to see if we could create empathy, if we could tell the story of children born of war and create an awareness about this history and how it's important to us. And this is really the proof for us that we managed to do that as well. Because we've sold over 100,000 in China. We haven't done any cultural adaptations for Asia at all. And they're saying the same things as people in Norway. So even a Norwegian story told very faithfully towards 1951 works in China. So this is so for us it's sort of ticked all our boxes that the game worked, and it's yeah, we couldn't be happier. So that's how happy we got. Thank you. Just one more sentence. I hope that you can get something out of this. And I hope you also find inspiration to tell the different stories. The one that might get some shaking heads, because they're more interesting anyway. Yes, thank you. We're trying to